Welcome to Dr. Gore's show. Today, it's my honor and pleasure to welcome back a dear friend, Anil Shrivastava, from Gift of Life Adventure Gola Foundation, where he talks about importance of organ donation. And this topic we had discussed almost 3 years back, and why it is important and how we are changing mindset of people for organ donation. So, welcome to Dr. Gore's show.
Well, thank you for having me back, Hital. It's been quite a journey since the time we spoke. In fact, the last time we were here, I just finished my drive from Bangalore to Scotland.
Okay.
And I didn't know what was going to happen after that, but a lot happened after that. That changed the course of how deeply involved I got in this organ donation campaign. And it's taken me worldwide now.
Right. So to give some background about this foundation and what Anil has taken upon himself to kind of raise an awareness. So bring us through the journey, how you got involved, your brother's illness, and why it is important for you to raise this awareness.
Yeah, so very quickly, 5 years ago, my brother asked me to give him my kidney because he had some failure. And it didn't take me too long to say yes. But then I started to learn about the emotional trauma and the fear and the barriers in the medical side and the legal side. It wasn't easy to give it. It was easy to say yes. But there's a whole process that if I could go through it, there's a lot of people with less influence in the system that probably go through it a lot more, and probably at that point they give up. Correct. And say, I may as well just live with this than to go with this.
And apart from what you said, emotional and legal journey, I think there is so much of cultural and ethical as well as religious bounds to that.
Yeah, so that's what encompasses all of this. So as I say, organ donation stands on three pillars like any camera tripod. Mm-hmm. So there's the legal pillar, the medical pillar, and the social pillar.
Right.
So I started doing things for the social pillar, because if there are no donors, then the other two don't need to exist.
Correct.
At least in the context of organ donation. There are other illnesses where the medical pillar has to stay, and legal for that matter. So as I started doing the social thing, I realized that the legal pillar wasn't in sync with the aspirations of the social side. Mm-hmm. So if I want to donate, the laws were so restrictive that I couldn't donate, even if I wanted to. So that's the difference between America and India. And there are other countries that have their own nuances. But in India, it's particularly daunting. I said yes, but I learned during the course of all of this that my organs don't belong to me legally.
That's interesting.
I need my wife's permission I need her permission to give my kidney. While in this country, it's just the other way around. If you decide, then you decide. There's nobody else that can prevail on that decision.
While you're alive.
While
right.
you're alive.
After our death, our next
then
of
you have
kin.
the living will
right.
as well.
Right. The next of kin
So
takes decide.
even if in the living will that you say this is what has to happen, it has to happen.
Correct.
But there, when it comes to organ donation, even if it's in your will, it doesn't matter.
Wow.
Your family's will prevails.
Right.
So that creates a whole new can of worms that you can open, and then that's where things start to fall apart. A lot of times, donors have the opportunity to say yes, but a lot of times they have to say yes because of family pressure and, log kya kahenge. So they have opportunities because of this law to say no at stages without losing face with that person.
So just to be devil's advocate, right? Like what you're saying is just making me think, was the legal system developed in India to prevent kind of like a black market of organ donation? Yeah. Because I have heard stories, and of course when you hear the stories that you hear, I don't know how much truth there is, but that people have taken people for surgeries for something else, and they have come out of surgeries and their organs are missing, and they were sold in black market. So I'm pretty sure.
So truth being told, any space in this world, there's car thefts that happen, there's burglaries that happen, there's white collar criminals, there's blue collar criminals. Now you cannot shut the system down because 10% or less of them indulge in it. Mm-hmm. Now there are 90% of people that are legitimate, that are finding it difficult to save the life of their dear ones because of those 10%. But you cannot legislate to prevent that 10%. It's like saying, I'd rather let 4,000 guilty people go than to imprison one not guilty. So we're getting to be so knee-jerky and overreactive to all of this that you're losing the sight of the big picture of health. So this statement that is being made by the government in terms of their laws is, I'd rather have 10 people not do something wrong than to have 90 people live healthily after that. So the priorities
now, what is
are
the Medical
screwed up.
Society of India saying for all this? Because I think as a physician, we have some moral compass to kind of...
That 10% that we're talking about obviously has to have the blessings of a doctor. So which means, are you going to shut down medical practice? Because 10% doctors are being unethical by stealing people's kidneys or indulging in trade in them? So it should also start reflecting on the medical profession. All the hospitals, shall we shut down all the hospitals because of this? But when you're not doing it for that, then why are you making patients be the fall guy for this? It just doesn't make sense. I mean, you could have all kinds of arguments, but if the logic applies that because 10% of these people are stealing or malpractice, and you're going to shut down the entire system for it, then why
I think there has to be a middle road.
Exactly,
right?
and that nobody is going there.
There has to be tweaking of the law. There has to be some sort of arrangement made for the physicians who are guilty.
In fact, there is a country, I believe it's Saudi Arabia, that has got a government system. They have no shortage of organ donors there because the government manages the supply and demand. And if it means, if someone wants to donate altruistically, yes. If someone wants to sell, the government has a system where it's like any other business, like a hospital, like a drug business. Even this is a business, right? As long as the exploitation is minimal.
Correct.
So so the government actually facilitates the buying and selling of organs done above board, so that there's no middleman trying to take advantage, and the doctors are incentivized not to be corrupt because of this. Right. So the government has a big role to play in this, and in the absence of that, you're going to have this malpractice because people are people like any living organism.
We are greedy.
No, we're not greedy. We want to live, survival, and we'll do anything in our powers to survive. Who wants to die? Right. Those who have the money
people who
will
are
do
doing
this.
it and exploiting the law, they're not. I don't think they're doing it out of love. So a lot of times people want to cash out on a lot of this. Kind of the demand is so high and supply is so limited. They want to exploit the situation. Absolutely.
Of the weak.
Correct.
When someone's out there in the bed, fighting for his life or her life, there's always somebody who's going to see an opportunity, because that's the kind of people they are.
Right.
That's the kind of people they are.
Right.
So any place you see weakness, you'll have people with strength coming to prevail on that weakness.
So let's talk about the social thing, because unfortunately it's going to take a lot of time for the legal and medical system to change and worldwide to kind of have a uniformity of laws and
well, having said that, there's a lot of the world that's going towards a system that should be prevalent in India, and if that happens in India, believe me, life will change for a lot of people. It's about being an opt-out country. America isn't, but a lot of Europe has begun to convert to becoming an opt-out nation, where you are automatically an organ donor unless you opt out. While America is still an opt-in, India, of course, is opt-in. France just became opt-out last year, and I think Ireland became this year.
For a lot of these things, Europe is always ahead of us.
I agree.
Europe has been always front before North America. And then comes the Asians.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think they have a very progressive ideas for a lot of things in life. But tell me, what have you learned over your last 3 years of traveling throughout the world about the social aspect, right? How does one view organ donation?
Okay, just to put things in context for the listeners over there, viewers over there, is so when I took on this job of saying that I saved my brother, and I understood how easy it was after I went through all the difficult paperwork. to see my brother come out of where he was and starting to become an active member and a productive member of society again. And I thought to myself, why aren't more people doing this? And that's when I said, okay, if I gathered the strength from speaking to 2 or 3 people who've done it before me, then perhaps can I be the strength of 1 million? And since I'm in the media and entertainment business, then as they say, agar nahi karta to mera pesha bura man jati. So I took it upon myself to say, okay, I'm going to do an organ donation campaign worldwide. Now, how will I do it? It became, what do I have fun doing? So therefore, I won't stop doing it. I love driving. I like driving long distances. So I said, okay, let me start driving around the world in my own car, across borders, across continents, and along the way start engaging with people of different cultures, of different thought process, of different religious beliefs and personal spiritual beliefs, and see what they have objections to. So that's how I started driving around the world, and along my way I talked to people in organized gatherings and get-togethers through the Rotary Club or through people and friends and family organizations, senior centers. I've driven so far about 41 countries. Since we last spoke, I had 17 done by then. Today that count is 41.
Wow.
And it's about 300 days of being in the car. We sleep in the car, we live in the car. And since then, remember last year when I came, 3 years ago when I came, soon after that, I met somebody here in New York in a nightclub. Okay, I was just chilling out because it was a grueling 78 days, and I came here to chill. And I met this gentleman who happened to be from Afghanistan, but living here in New York. And he just made friends, because he had donated his kidney to his wife, who had a chronic problem. Nothing was said of that. It was all great. When I went back to Bangalore, I got a call from him. He said, listen, I need your help. I said, what happened? Well, my wife's brother, who's also, I think, congenitally
Polycystic kidneys, most likely.
Right. So he was 17, and he had kidney failure. And he said, I need your help because there's nothing in Afghanistan. Can you help him in India? So very quickly, again, see, this is not something I planned. So very quickly, I said yes. I mean, instinctively, and then I brought him over, and that's when I started realizing the rigmarole of paperwork for the not so influential. And here's this kid who came with his 2 brothers who were willing to give it to him, and the paperwork that led to it. Eventually, long story short, we got him his transplant after using the media quite productively, I must say. And finally, the approval committees gave the approval after unnecessary paperwork. That's where I began to say, okay, this has got to stop. And if the Aam Aadmi is going to go through this, I need to do something about this. So I set up the foundation right after this case. Okay. So that's why it's Gift of Life Adventure Foundation. And since then, I've been taking on unique cases just so I can set a precedent. Now, in India, a friend cannot give to a friend unless you're blood related. So is the interpretation of the law. The law doesn't state that. But the general interpretation of everybody is you have to be blood related. Now, there was a case where an army officer, serving army officer, wanted a kidney and he couldn't get it from his blood. But a friend was willing to donate. So I found him on Facebook. In fact, I don't know him. I didn't know him. And I found the story circulating on Facebook. And I reached out to him. I said, listen, if you're having problems, can I help you? So he said, yeah. At that point, when someone says, can I help you? This guy's dying.
Right.
And he's a serving army officer. And the system was so cruel to him. Here we talk about, Fauji, ye hai, this is the military, we are proud of them, take a bullet for us. And the system couldn't take a bullet for him. So at that stage, I said, come over to Bangalore, let's deal with this. Again, long story short, I filed a PIL against the government for the stand they took on this case. And we prevailed. We won. He got his transplant. So now there's a case history of a friend donating to a friend, that's someone else in the future. So I'm trying to scale the impact of what I do. It's okay helping one-on-one. So this started to happen after that journey when we spoke last on this show.
Right.
And now I'm getting ready to file a larger PIL to make sure the process, I'm not trying to change the law, that's a different process altogether, but I'm trying to make sure that there is a set system in place that everybody should follow.
Right.
Right now it's ambiguous. I'll see your face and tell you the rules.
The law can be tweaked to
And
the
it's not
situation.
consistent.
Right.
So that is room for harassment and corruption.
Correct.
So I'm hoping the courts will be again in my side.
But if there is already a case, I think it makes life easier for the following cases.
Exactly,
That because there has been a precedent set.
Correct.
And then somebody can go through
So
it.
I am bucking the legal system as well while continuing the social system. So now with all my driving, I have now come up to driving in North and South America. So yes, I'm a New Jersey resident.
Welcome back.
Yes, it's homecoming for me, and my kids are now back in college over here, so we're starting to live in our house again. So I'm driving this year in September. Well, before that, what is my objective? It's two things. A is to give people more details about what organ donation is. They've heard of it, but
Right.
what are the details? Yes, I'm filling my form, but after that, what happens? Nobody knows. They don't care. It's so superficially glossed over that most people don't understand what it takes, and that's where things fall apart. And if 100 people are donors, maybe 2 will go through or 3 will go through.
Right.
Because the rest of them have no clue
Right.
and are not prepared for the time when it happens. So I'm trying to bridge that gap as much as I can. And the second thing is I'm trying to make myself look like an example or a lead by example, saying if you gave a kidney, most people wouldn't give a kidney because there's 2 things going on. One of 2 things. Either there's not enough love. See, organ donation is a direct act of love, either for humanity at a macro level or for your
Loved
own
ones.
loved ones. If you don't love, then you're not going to be an organ donor, period. It has to be driven by the heart. But the heart says, yes, I want to, but there's something else that says no. And what is that? Fear. And fear comes from ignorance. Because they don't know what's going to happen to me. Agar main de dunga, mujhe kya hoga?
Correct.
So I'm showing, mujhe dekho, mujhe kuch nahi hua hai. I'm trying to be the example. I'm putting my body through all kinds of stress. At this age, I shouldn't be doing it. But luckily, I'm actually healthier than I was before I gave my kidney because I'm taking care of it better.
Right.
Right? So I'm now participating in the World Transplant Games. That's happening in England in August this year. It happens once in 2 years. In fact, America is sending 150 people as their team contingent, and India is sending only 11. So because I had my surgery in India, I have the option by law that I can represent India as well, being an American.
Right.
So I'm actually going to wear Team India on my jersey and be one of those 11, and I'm running the 100 meters. At 51, I'm running a 100-meter race. It is showing on my body. I can feel it. But I'm trying to attempt it so people understand that your life is not going to be any less. In fact, I'm enjoying the 2 lives I live, mine and my brother's.
Right.
Right? So that's the main objective of what I do.
Right. So we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back to continue our talk. Welcome back to Dr. Gore Show. So today we are talking about a very important and a sensitive topic of organ donation. We've done this talk before, but it's really important why organ donation is so important, because a lot of medical conditions, either congenital or we acquire as we get older, be it blood pressure, be it diabetes, can affect a lot of our organs. Mainly people talk about kidney, but there are a lot of different organs of the body which can be transplanted, be it a cornea. People have done heart transplants, which is of course after the death. So there are lots and lots of parts of our body which we don't think can change somebody's life, can benefit somebody. But because of, as Anil mentioned earlier, that because of our fear, because of our ignorance, because of what society will say, is it something that is not going to help me, why should I do it, kind of attitude prevents us from doing organ donation. And there are certain medical and legal aspects of things which can kind of put hindrance even if you are really motivated. So Anil, I know you were really motivated. It was your brother, you did it, you found out how the system works, and you kind of fought in your own way, and you are continuing to doing this. But I think the main part of your journey now is raising awareness.
Right.
And you are raising awareness by doing something that you're passionate about, by traveling in your car wherever you're stopping, people are asking you why you're doing it. You are getting people to think about this, right? On a day-to-day basis, it's not on our mind. And now you are doing this journey from North America to the South America, and then you're going to go to England representing Team
No, I'm
India.
going to England first, actually. So I'm going to finish England first.
The Team India,
Yes,
and then
and
you're
then
going
come
to do
back here to
the
do the
travel.
drive, yeah.
So tell us, what is your idea about traveling from North America to South America? And of course, Team India is going to be different because
Correct.
it's going to be amazing, not for you just to show that how fit you are at your age and doing great, but also raising this awareness of people who have donated organs are as fit as anybody
If
else.
they want to be. See, if they were a couch potato before, then they'll continue to be couch potato later. But the fact is, your body is not going to say, I can't do this. Your body is going to do that. 1 in 5 people are born with 1 kidney. One kidney is enough. And they don't even know it, for that matter. So yeah, I'm going to be driving this time, starting in New York, New Jersey area. I'm going up to Montreal, going to Alaska, and then West Coast down to Argentina, the tip of Argentina, and coming back. It's about 55,000 kilometers over 150 days.
Okay.
Mostly living in my car. I do have a social media page, so please follow me. Give me the strength to continue with this by giving me your eyeballs and giving me your interest, and talk to me over there. I am raising funds for this as well, so I have a fundraiser on Facebook. I have a GoFundMe page. I have sponsors. So this is not just, I'm not a lone ranger in this whole endeavor. There's a whole village behind me that's raising me on this.
Great.
Right? But I seem to be the front of it. But I do have people, in America this time, I want to do this format, and I don't know if it's going to help or not. I've never done this before. I want to go to most desi areas around both these continents. There's enough everywhere. And have local people host my story. So what I do is I talk about my story. So if, for example, I just did one in Dallas recently with my friends. They invited their friends and neighbors at home, and I talked about it, and it was a casual fundraiser, plus they got to hear about my story and what organ donation actually means, which is the reason I'm doing this. And I don't know so many people, but I'm hoping through this that some of you are listening and you're willing to do this for me and host me. If you can tell me beforehand that these are the places I can host you, I will route my drive through your homes and be able to touch and meet the community, speak to all of you about this, because all of you still have relatives who are next of kin still in India,
right,
or in Pakistan or wherever else.
I don't think it even just matters if you have relative. I think it's to raise this awareness in our South Asians.
It matters, I'll tell you why. Because I told you, in India the laws are that they have the right. If they do not make the decision, somebody there who wants to be an organ donor is not going to be one, and somebody there who could benefit from it will not benefit. So a decision is made here by the next of kin, by the kids.
I agree. But my point was, it's our picture is for the greater humanity,
yes, of course.
as such.
Absolutely.
Even if you have relative or not, because some of us now don't have relative back home.
Correct.
But I think still it should be close to our heart, because you don't know who else might need it, and it's for the general humanity.
So I'm trying to even tie up with local organizations that work for organ donation awareness. I'm a Rotarian, so I'm trying to work with the Rotary network around the world as well, to be able to host me and host talks for me. So essentially, I want to try and meet the mark of 10,000 people. I've spoken to so far 45,000 people in all my drives. I want 10,000 coming out of this drive.
Right.
So that's the goal, but I don't know how far I'll get. Maybe I'll have more. And
so just for the viewers, I think on the screen we have the information for the foundation, the website that you can go and visit and see what Anil has done so far, what he's planning to do, so that way you can kind of follow him on his social page and see where he's gone and where else can you meet him. I think the crowdfunding is, I think, a great way to raise awareness. So even $5, $10.
Correct. So you know why I'm raising crowdfunding? I could just get corporate funding, but crowdfunding allows me to meet more people.
Right.
And when they give you $5, they are in some way connected to my cause and are now going to be my amplified voice of this. They will tell their friends, hey, listen, I've donated to this, why don't you follow him? So the more people that fund me, the more people have got skin in the game.
Right.
And that gives me more eyes and lips to speak about this and look at the bigger picture of awareness. So That's the underlying reasons. So even people give me $5, $6. There are people who will give me 250, which is maybe it feels like five to them. Maybe they feel like they owe it to the cause, whatever. But I'm looking for your support, not personally, but I want you to be involved in this, because when you're involved, you're going to start changing your thinking, and the people that you come across with, you're going to tell them the message that I probably will speak to you about, because when you donate, I know you did it. I will talk to you personally and thank you for sure. But otherwise, meeting the community and having the community then go out into their communities to spread this message is the most effective way of doing this, because at the end of the day, you can have 300 laws that are conducive. If the conversation has not begun in the house,
Right.
there is no organ donation.
And I think a lot of times we get very uncomfortable talking about organ donation, because you were saying that, oh, so I'm going to die. We all, I think, birth is destined
it's
to
not
be
if,
this.
it's
Right,
when.
right, exactly. So I think it's very important to kind of bring up this topic with even our young ones. It doesn't have to be that when we get old, what happens. Something like this, that we do have it on our driver license in this country, but sometimes we don't, as Anil mentioned, we don't pay attention. So please, all the viewers, look up the foundation, follow him, or just kind of think about it in your own way, what you can do, and just get awareness, read about it, because it's something that we have it, we don't understand how lucky we are to have all the organs and be in complete functioning state right now. But there will be a day and time that either us or our loved one might benefit from it. So till next time, this is Dr. Gaur Show on organ donation. Thank you, Anil, for coming.
Well, thank you for having me again.
And all the best with your new journey.
And I hope you'll follow me.
Absolutely. All right. Till next time. Good night.